Hello everybody, Loyalty for Life here, bringing you guys a brand new deck profile. This time around it is my pure Performapal deck. I absolutely love pure Performapals. They're such a fun deck, they're really consistent, and they have a really fun playstyle where you just alternate attack and defense, you modulate it and everything. You really screw over everything that your opponent's trying to do while also pumping up your attack power, and there's so much draw and search power the archetype has, it's not even funny. So it's just like stupid how much draw and search power this deck has. So much so that like I'm dumbfounded that this deck doesn't have more hits on it because of like, you know, like Good Turtle and Lizard Draw and stuff, and friggin' Pendulum Sorcerer is still at 3 for some silly reason. I don't understand. But anyways, enough of the chatter. Let's get on to deck profile, and I'll explain my card choices as we go along, like I normally do. So, first and foremost is my personal favorite guy, and one of the few original ones that I still play is Whipsnake. So, Whipsnake is one of the best Performapals, and he's also one of the first. And I say best in that, in how the deck works and their general idea and how like they their strategy and everything. It's one of the best because what he does is during Ilver's main phase, you can swap the attack and defense of any one monster on the field. You can do that during Ilver's main phase. So you can swap your opponent's monster so that it goes from like 3k to 2000 or something like that, and you take less damage, or you just make it to where your opponent can't run over anything. It's really funny. Also, a lot of the Performapal monsters have higher defense than attack, so you swap their attack and defense, and then you go for like a bunch of damage and everything. He just really helps out for a lot of things, and he's still a really good level 4 for the deck, and it just is really nice. Next up, I play 3 Lizard Draw, and of course along with him 3 Good Turtle. You kind of gotta play 3 and 3 of these guys. It's just really stupid how you activate Good Turtle, activate Lizard Draw, draw a card, and then you use Lizard Draw's effect to draw another card. You almost never use, I've never actually had to summon Good Turtle to use his monster effect, but Lizard Draw's effect on the field is amazing in that if another creature, if another monster you control dies, you can draw cards equal to the number of Performapal monsters you control with different names. And that is really good. I like him a lot. And honestly, people don't bother reading the cards, or they don't remember what he does, so they run over something else, and then they're like, oh crap, and then I get to draw like 3 cards. Also, one of the Performapal monsters forces your opponent to attack it, so therefore, well, not this guy in particular, but the other guy. So your opponent has to run over that monster, and then you get to draw more. It just is really stupid. Now that being said, though, you can't crash your monster into your opponent's monster and get a draw. Your opponent has to attack into it. That's something that I've always hated, to be completely honest. Next up for the main deck boss monster, we have Performapal Sleight of Hand Magician, or Sleight Hand Magician. I feel like there should be an of there somewhere, but whatever. So Sleight Hand Magician, what he does is you can special summon him by tributing off a non-Pendulum Performapal. And once per turn, you can discard a card to pop 1 card on the field. I believe it has to be face up, right? Yeah, 1 face up card on the field, so you can pop Pendulum Scales, you can pop opponent's monsters. You can just go for a lot of like different things that you can get rid of. It's good general spot removal. It's not a hard once per turn, so if you have multiple of them out on the field, which is not hard to do at all, you can just use it over like twice and get rid of 2 things, attack for 5k, and really good monster overall. I like him a lot. I wish there was easier ways of pendulum summoning him. Like, I mean, I would have to play Odd Eyes Unicorn, and really honestly, Odd Eyes Unicorn is not all that great in a pure Performapal deck because its P-scale effect isn't really all that usable. Next up, I play 2 Performapal Longveiled Bull. Whenever this guy is special summoned, you get to add 1 non-pendulum Performapal from your deck to your hand. I believe, yeah, he cannot, yeah, so you can even add another copy of himself, which is really stupid. Not many search cards can grab another copy of themselves out there. Really good monster overall, really good effect. I like him quite a bit. You're generally going to search off, you're generally going to grab Sleight of Hand Magician off of him. But even then, you can just also grab like Donkey or crap, what is he called? Whipsnake. I forgot. But there's a lot of search targets for him. You can even grab himself, which is something I still think is stupid. So, yeah, really good monster overall. Only need 2 of them though, because this deck has a lot of other search power. Next up, 2 Performapal Drumarilla. God, the puns. So he basically has 2 effects. So he basically has the exact same effect in Monster and Pendulum Zone. In the Pendulum Zone, when a monster battles, you can increase that monster's attack power by 600 once a turn. And he basically has that exact same effect whenever he's in the monster zone as well. But, however, he also has the additional effect where if there's no monsters on field, he can normal summon him without tributing. Which isn't terrible, but it's really only good if you brick. Next up, 2 Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer. So you're probably wondering why I'm not playing 3. That's because you really don't need 3. If you play 3, you go through your deck way too fast. And it just is... You don't really need 3. I mean, you can only use his effect once a turn anyways, so what I like to do is I usually like to have 1 in P-Scale, 1 on Summon and everything. You don't really need 3 for the deck. You can, but I feel like that'd be a bit much. Like, it just would kind of clog. I mean, yeah, he can pop himself and the other copy, but it just would not be all that great. I think 2's fine is what I'm trying to say here, without clogging. Next up, I play 2 Performapal Fireflux. So basically, while in Monster Zone, he turns all your dudes into Armades, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And in Pendulum Zone, you can tribute off a Performapal to negate an attack and end the battle phase, which isn't terrible. He's a good high skill for just general purposes, and he's one of the better level 4s. Next up is Performapal Second Donkey. Basically, when he's normal or special summoned, you can send 1 Performapal monster from your deck to your graveyard, which there is actually 1 Performapal you do want to get into the grave. Or, if you have 2 P-Scale set, you can add 1 Performapal monster from your deck to your hand instead, which is pretty good. So you get options, you get to either dump something or add something. Really good overall, just another search card, which the amount of searching this deck has is just dumbfounding me so much sometimes. Next up is Performapal Swin Cobra. This guy's actually supposed to combo well with Whip Snake. And he does, because he's one of the ones that I was mentioning earlier that you can swap his attack and defense to give him a crap ton of attack power. So what Whip Snake does is he can attack directly, and after he battles, you switch him to defense. So obviously you use Whip Snake's effect, switch his attack and defense, so he becomes 1800, attack directly for 1800. End the battle phase, switches to defense, and then at the end of your turn, his attack and defense returns to normal, so he has 1800 defense. Though I honestly like him for his Pendulum effect more than I do for his monster effect. Once per turn while he's in the P-Scale, if a monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can mill the top card of your opponent's deck to the graveyard, which is really, really, really good. It can disrupt your opponent's plays. You can mill off like really key cards that they're trying to get a hold of. I've milled off people's Pot of Desires before, and that would have helped them out a lot if they had drawn it. Really good effect overall for both of his monster and his Pendulum effects. I like him a lot. Next up, a card that I'm actually thinking about bumping up to 3, but I'm deciding on that, is Performapal Thunder Rhino. So this guy is pretty darn good. While he's on the field, your opponent cannot target other monsters for attacks except for him. So if you have 2 on the field, your opponent can't attack at all. If he's in the graveyard and a Performapal card, or I believe cards, yeah, if a Performapal card or cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish him instead. So he's kind of like Gospel of the Dragons or whatever it's called, I can't remember. Revival of the True Dragon Lord, something like that, where you just protect your stuff. It can protect your P-Scales, it can protect your monsters, and of course, if he's in the monster zone and you have Lizard Draw out, your opponent has to attack him, so then you get a draw off a Lizard Draw. Unless like they compulse this guy or something, which is kind of annoying. Now onto the one-ofs. I play 1 Elfhammer. He was the Performapal boss monster before the Sleight of Hand Magician, and I mean like attack-wise he's still better than Sleight of Hand Magician in terms of attack power, but his actual effect isn't as good as Sleight of Hand Magician in my opinion. So what he does is if you control at least 2 Performapal cards, you can normal summon him without tributing. He cannot attack unless you control unless you control a Performapal card. And when he does attack, you can return all spell and trap cards your opponent controls to the hand, which is really, really good. And I believe it's just your opponent controls. Yeah. So you get to clear out your opponent's back row, you get to clear out their P-Scales, and you get to kind of just disrupt their stuff. It can actually help them sometimes if you're going against like BA or something, and they have like dead fog blades in the back row. So honestly, like whether or not you want to do that, it's just generally up to you. I do sometimes. I would side them out against like BA or something because it would just help them out more than hurt them. I play one Odd Eyes Phoenix. He's okay. He bumps up attack power, and that's about all he's good for. He can also like just kind of protect you if you're going to get OTK'd, but that's never really happened, or I've never really felt like a need to do it. One Performapal Part Naga. The big thing about Part Naga is that he kind of prevents your other monsters from attacking unless they're level 5 or higher, which is very, very annoying. One Skulker Bat Joker. I think that's self-explanatory. Just get to search out any Performapal monster whenever he's normal summoned. For Christ's sake, I cannot say this. Moment Carpet. Basically, if it's in the P scale and you control no other Performapal P scales, it kills itself. But if it's in the P scale and it doesn't kill itself, any battle damage you take is halved, which is really, really, really good. I like that a lot. Just being able to half any battle damage. And wait, does it affect? Yeah, just battle damage. I thought it also affected the other, like, effect damage and stuff. If it's special summon, you can set it, like, you can flip it face down. And if it's flip face up, you get to pop a sets card on the field. So he can get rid of back row, he can get rid of set monsters and stuff, and I just really, overall a good card. High scale too, like, that's really high scale, scale 7. And then we got Peril Trio. So if this guy dies by battle or card effect, you get special summon one Performapal monster from your deck that's not a Pendulum monster. And if he's in a P scale and you have a Performapal or Odd Eyes or Magician guy in your other P scale, you can increase his level to 7 until the end of the turn. And by level I mean Pendulum level. Pendulum level scale. That's all the monsters. A crap ton of monsters, and you're able to get away with it because of how much search and draw power this deck has. It is super consistent. I have maybe bricked a total of 1 time. Next up, 2 MST. I've been debating on if I want to play MST or Twin Twister in this deck. I'm going with MST for now. Honestly, back row doesn't really hurt this deck too much, unless it's like anti-spell or something, which is kind of annoying, if nothing else. Next up, 2 Performapal Recasting. So this is a Magical Mallet +1. So what you do is you reveal any number of Performapal monsters in your hand, shuffle them back into the deck, and then draw cards equal to the number revealed and shuffled +1. So let's say you reveal 5, you draw 6. So you get a completely new hand. It's mulligan. It pays for itself too. You can only activate 1 per turn, which is a bit annoying. So if you draw into another copy of it, it's dead. But oh well. Next up is a card I'm still debating on if I want to play 1 or 2 of. At 2 I saw it too much, and now at 1 I'm seeing it too little. And that's Bubble Barrier. So while this card is on the field, it's a continuous spell card. All Performapal and Performage monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects once a turn, and you take no battle damage from battles involving your Performapal and Performage monsters. It's really, really good. A lot better than you'd think. It really, really hinders a lot of what your opponent's trying to do. They can't do any battle damage to you unless they get rid of all of your monsters, which has made it even harder because each one can't be destroyed by battle or card effect once a turn. Really, really powerful spell card. The issue is that having more than 1 tends to clog, at my experience. Yeah, get out of there. That's all the spell cards. Next up is 2 Performapal Pinch Helper. Whenever your opponent declares a direct attack, you can activate this card and special summon a Performapal monster from your deck once a turn. Its effects are negated, which is a bit annoying. And then if your opponent battles a Performapal monster, you can send it to the graveyard to negate any battle damage you would from that battle. Overall, good continuous trap card. I like it. Just being able to get your Pendulum monsters from your main deck out onto the field right away and protect your life points. Really good trap card overall. And then finally, I play 2 Performapal Showdown. So what this card does is, whenever you activate it, you get to book a moon any number of monsters your opponent controls up to the number of face-up continuous spell cards you control. So, at usual, you will do 2, because it counts your P scales, and but sometimes you'll get to do 3 because of Bubble Barrier. So yeah, really good trap card overall. Triple book a moon at max, double at usual. Back when I played 2 Bubble Barrier, it was even better because 4 Book of Moons. It was stupid. Just being able to disrupt your opponent's plays and prevent them from going into their extra deck. Speaking of the extra deck, I play 1 number 52, I almost called him 25, Diamond Crab King, 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Daigusto Emerald, 1 Magister, 1 Castell, 1 number 106, 1 Antitopian, 1 number 101, 1 number 50, 1 Karen Gorgon, 1 Dark Rebellion, one 104, 139, 130 S39, and one S39 Utopia Lightning. It's a very straightforward extra deck overall. Yeah, it's just a very straightforward extra deck overall. And I apologize if you can hear a truck starting up. My dad is going somewhere apparently. So yeah, pretty straightforward extra deck overall. Just a bunch of rank 4s that like everybody plays, to be honest here. You can also play rank 3s. I chose not to because, like, other than Break Sword, which I had to sell unfortunately recently, there's really not many rank 3s that I would actually personally play in here. Likewise, I don't want to play any rank 7s really in here either, because having 2-sided Hand Magicians out on field isn't really, like, it doesn't happen as often as I would like, but having sided Hand Magician on field as a one-of usually happens quite a bit. So guys, tell me what you guys think about this deck profile. If you change anything, please let me know. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. If it's birthday, happy birthday. See you all later. Peace out and goodbye.